Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am back with another list of recommendations for you, and this time it is the most outrageous, most over the top, most ridiculous, and most raunchy comedies of the 1960s that you might have missed. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, yes, you heard me right. We are doing raunchy, fun, ridiculous comedies from the 1960s. Yes, there were some, and there were some really good ones. Now, it's a little bit different. The context of some of these is going to be a little bit different than what you might get from the 70s, certainly the 80s, 90s, definitely different. But I think that you're going to have a lot of fun with these if you give them a chance. And there is some surprisingly racy comedies here from the 1960s. So we're just going to jump right into it. With number 10, it comes from 1967. I am talking about For Men Only. Now, this is really kind of considered a short because it's just under 60 minutes. But this is a Pete Walker film. And if you don't know who Pete Walker is, Pete Walker did a lot of films like this. This is a little bit shorter one. I'm going to be honest with you. I had another one of his films set for this list, and it was so raunchy, so out there, that I could not find clips that I could download to put on this video. YouTube blocks them out. So I went with For Men Only. You can actually get a whole Pete Walker set on physical media. But this is a pretty simple story. It's a sophisticated London fashion columnist. He takes a job in this small town with a small town publisher who pretends to be sort of a moral crusader, and he's just not digging this. And then when she gets there, she kind of finds out that this moral crusader isn't exactly what he appears to be. And in fact, his company is sort of just a way to showcase a bunch of young and beautiful bikini and underwear and lingerie clad women, and sometimes less than that. It's a pretty simple concept. It is a lot of fun. It plays out, like I said, in just under an hour. So it stretches whether or not it's a feature, but it is a lot of fun, and it's a good introduction to Pete Walker and some of the other films that I couldn't put on this list, like A School for Sex. That is one of the movies. It is pretty funny too. So check it out. It comes in at number 10 on this list. Now, at number 9 on this list is one that I picked to represent what I call the rash of beach comedies, sort of the beach themed comedies of the 60s. You have a very famous Beach Blanket Bingo, all those kind of things. But I actually went with 1963's Beach Party for this list. And this is another one with a simple plot. It, like I said, representative of those 60s beach movies. But this one stars a young Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello in this. So you're going to see some recognizable faces in this, some big names, and they are kind of being watched, them and a group of teenagers, by an anthropologist who is writing a book, and he is studying the mating habits, so to speak, the courting rituals maybe of the swinging teenagers during this time, the college age students. And they're out there doing all this, and they're being watched during a bikini summer. So you're going to have dancing, singing, because this was very surf song, filled type movie. I think there's six songs in this movie that are on the soundtrack. You're going to get a lot of surfing. You're going to get a lot of bonfires on beaches. You're going to get a little bit of hanky panky too. This one's a little bit lighter on sort of the kind of raunchiness factor, but a lot of it is played through innuendo and kind of thumbing their nose at things and kind of hiding it under an innocent veneer that a lot of these movies did. And it is still fun. You're going to laugh at it. There's definitely some winks at you there. But because it's not as in your face, it's a little further down on the list. And like I said, it's just one that represents that whole genre. So if you dig it, there's a bunch that you can watch from that genre for the 1960s. But for us, Beach Party comes in on our list at number 9. Now at number 8, what if I told you that one of the most well-known directors of all time got his start, his very first director's job, his very first turn in the director's chair in what is called a nudie cutie? I am talking about 1962's Tonight for Sure, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. That is exactly right. This was his first turn in the director's chair, and it's sort of a comedic Western kind of reality bending nudie cutie. It stars two unlikely guys who are on the Las Vegas Strip, and they go into this burlesque show. It definitely has Western vibes because they're like in cowboy boots and cowboy hats and stuff like that. And they actually rig this performance stage at this burlesque place to blow up at midnight. And while they're waiting on this to happen, they sit there and they get drunk and they start telling each other stories of visions of nude women. And we see a lot of this going on. It is surprisingly heavy with the TNA in this movie. I was really kind of surprised. Now, it's another one that's not going to take you long. I think it's like an hour and 17 minutes long, maybe. But I was just sitting there thinking, this is Francis Ford Coppola. This is what he did first. It is sort of just your kind of sex comedy. That's what it is. In the 1960s, they called them nudie cuties sometimes. And you could tell Francis Ford Coppola was having some fun with this. I was surprised. I'm going to tell you, I was surprised. There is some reality bending that's going on. So you see some of his filmmaking. You got to check it out just so that you said that you have seen it. But Tonight for Sure from 1962, Francis Ford Coppola's first time directing, comes in on our list at number 8. Now at number 7, I had to have one from the great and famous and infamous Ed Wood on this list. We are going with 1965's Orgy of the Dead. Now, despite the name, not an orgy. It's just kind of like a Vampire's Night orgy. This kind of means like a group of different things here, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have plenty of TNA, because it absolutely does. When you say Ed Wood, you really have to say no more. But this movie has a couple. It is Bob and Shirley, and they are searching for a cemetery that can kind of be like the inspiration for Bob's next horror novel. And they crash their car and they wander into this graveyard where they are promptly like kind of captured and tied up. And there is like a Dracula character. There's a female like countess character. There is like a wolf man in here. And there is a parade of beautiful women wearing basically nothing. And these two must stand there and sort of be accosted and watch them dance the night away while they wait on their fate. It's weird. It's naughty. It's Ed Wood. It's comedy, horror. It is absolutely crazy. Again, it is Ed Wood. So I had to have one of Ed Wood's on this list. You're going to see lots of strip teases in this. So there you go. It definitely checks those boxes. It's ridiculous. Again, Ed Wood. Orgy of the Dead from 1965 comes in on our list at number 7. Now, at number 6 on the list is one that gets a little bit more naughty for sure. I am talking about 1969's The Love Factor. This had an original title of Zeta 1 when it came out. Not sure why they changed it. I think Zeta 1's actually kind of cool. The Love Factor is kind of cool too, though. So this is kind of a James Bond spoof in some ways, but a race of sexy women from another planet and another dimension. Yes, not just another planet, but another dimension come to Earth in order to kidnap women to repopulate their planet. That's the setup for the movie. But this sci-fi comedy, I mean, definitely I get the James Bond spoof in here, but I also get a little bit of Barbarella meets Flesh Gordon vibes from this. Very, very heavy when you watch this. I mean, it's like this space, sexy sci-fi comedy thing that involves a serious game of strip poker that leaves no holds barred. There is plenty of TNA throughout this thing, quite a surprising amount. I was kind of surprised when I watched it for this list. I was like, whoa, because I think you can actually find this. If you want to buy it, I think it's on physical media, but I think you can try it on Tubi right now. Now, it might be a little bit of a cut version of this because this was rated R when it came out, and it pushed the boundaries of X. And I think it went back and forth there, but I think it did get a unrated release, and I think there's also an R-rated release of it out there. So it's fun. Again, it's kind of spoofy. It gives me all those other vibes. Definitely a comedy, but it has some good production value and definitely a lot of, naughty factor to the love factor. So for those reasons, it comes in on our list at number 6. Now at number 5 is one that got an X rating for sure when it came out. But if you watch it, you're going to be like, how was that ever X? Because it would be R, maybe a light R right now. I am talking about 1964's Kiss Me Quick. This movie is funny. It's done by a director who came here and couldn't get a job, and he barely could speak English, so he was like, I've got to get in and make my own film. And this is what he came up with. It is like a sci-fi horror sex comedy, spoof comedy on top of that. And it is a mad scientist. It to me, it has more of like the Scientist vibes. It's almost like a spoof on Hammer films in some way. But a mad scientist treats an asexual alien ambassador from a distant planet to a series of dancing sex robots to slow him down on his hunt for female breeding stock to take back to his planet. That's it. Yeah, that's definitely it. And there is a lot of TNA. There's plenty of nudity in this. It's crazy. It's almost like if you gave, I don't know. It's definitely a spoof of Hammer films. It's almost like if you gave Jerry Lewis of his Nutty Professor and you put him in like a naughty Hammer spoof of like Frankenstein or something. That's kind of like this weird shake it up, throw it out. That's what you get here. You keep seeing these robots, these beautiful women saying, kiss me quick, over and over again. I can't. It is ridiculous. It has to be seen. I can't tell you about it. So Kiss Me Quick from 1964 comes in on our list at number 5. Now, number 4 is probably the most over-the-top kind of naughty TNA-filled, like, steamy comedy on this list. It was actually re-released in 1981 with a full X-rated cut when they put all of the extended scenes back in that they had to cut back in the day. I'm talking about 1969's The Stewardesses, which is a mouthful to say. And it is about a single crazy night in the lives of a crew of the LA-based Trans-Pacific Stewardesses. So they are LA-based stewardesses. They're on the Trans-Pacific Airlines. And it follows this group of these ladies through this night as they're on the flights and off the flights, as they experiment, with sort of the party culture. Let's just say that to keep it safe. And they have a lot of crazy and wild sort of sexual encounters. They engage in all kinds of craziness in that aspect. And you see it all. this is one that would definitely still be R and beyond today. Like I said, 1981, it got a full X-rated cut with the full extended scenes put back into it. It also spawned a couple of sequels. Now, it's funny. It's definitely funny. It definitely fits this genre, but it is definitely like next level in what you see, hear, and experience in this movie. But you will laugh too, and then you're going to be shocked. You're going to look around and be like, this came out in the 1960s? Holy crap. But because it's not quite, in my opinion, it's not as good as the top 3 films on this list. It comes in at number 4, but it would be number 1 if I was just rating it on the sauciness factor of it and what you see. So the Stewardesses from 1969 comes in at number 4 on our list. Now, at number 3 on our list is maybe one of the most famous films on this list. I'm not going to say the most famous because to me that's different. But I am talking about 1968's Barbarella, starring Jane Fonda. You know it had to be on this list. How this got a PG rating, I will never understand. It wouldn't get a PG rating today. So how it got one back then is crazy. I know they had to keep recutting it because you have a nude Jane Fonda in this movie, and then very scantily clad Jane Fonda and other actresses throughout the rest of the movie. You have tons of innuendo. You have tons of kind of naughty things going on. But it is in the year 4000, and a peaceful zero-gravity astronaut, Barbarella, lands on a planet where a new sin is basically created every single hour. So she is on the naughtiest of naughty planets, and on this planet, she encounters things like the, I think it's called the excessiveness machine. I have to remember exactly. I think it's called the excessiveness machine. But really what this machine is with the proper player of this actual sort of sex organ. It's an organ that he can play, but they put you in it and you can literally be driven to death by pleasure. So that is what, like, that kind of sets the parameters of this movie right there. And this is one, there is a Arrow Amazing 4K limited edition release. If you're into physical media like me, I need to get it. It's out of print, so I'm going to have to take to eBay. But I've seen this movie a lot of times. This was a big one growing up. But this is a Dino De Laurentiis produced film. You're talking about a guy that produced Conan. He produced things like Silver Bullet, Halloween 3, Dino De Laurentiis. And that's just scratching the surface. But he had that little bit of naughty edge underneath a lot of what he did. And it comes out in this film, somehow PG, out of this world, ridiculous fun. This one definitely, Flesh Gordon is definitely spoofing a little bit of Barbarella when it came out. It's fun, definitely a comedy in my opinion, definitely belongs on this list. Barbarella from 1968 comes in on this list at number 3. Now, at number 2 on this list, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and this is going to be a special case scenario because I'm going to give you one film that was actually released in mid-1959, so it's just outside the 60s, and then I'm going to give you another film that was done in 1962 that was never finished. And they're both comedies, and they both star Marilyn Monroe. I'm talking about 1959's Some Like It Hot, and we are talking about Something's Got to Give from 1962. So we're going to talk about them both for just a second. It's a little bit of a cheat, but I didn't want to put a partial film on this list, so I wanted to give you something else. This is actually this might be my favorite Marilyn Monroe movie ever. I love this. This comedy still holds up today. Some Like It Hot. Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon. 2 men are forced to flee and join a all-female band because they witness basically like a mob hit. They witness a crime. And so they have to pose as women. Now you're talking about 1959 or, about midway through 1959. So two major movie stars dressing in drag, basically cross-dressing the whole time, pretending to be women. That was already really pushing the envelope. And then Marilyn is her normal sexy self in this movie. And then you get a lot of sexual innuendo, sexual dialogue that is played up for laughs. But you kind of get these situations that were racy because you have these two men pretending to be women, but they're checking out these women that are in various stages of undress and compromising positions. You get Marilyn laying on top of one of them at one point, kissing them. All this stuff was very hot for that point in time. Very, very hot. And this movie's absolutely hilarious. It holds up today 100%. It still feels fresh, still feels fun. And I put it on this list, and I put it with Something's Got to Give from 1962 because that one might have been the best Marilyn performance that she was ever going to have, and it never got finished. She was sick during the shooting. Her co-star was Dean Martin in that movie, and this one has her very famous pool scene that was grabbed by Playboy, where she actually goes completely nude swimming, which they had to block people out to keep them off set because she was very comfortable doing that, especially when her body-colored bathing suit was able to be seen on camera. She just said heck with it and went all au naturel. But she had a lot of problems during filming of this. She was sick, she was fired, she was rehired, and then she ultimately suddenly passed away before the end of it. But wow, it was going to be so much fun. The scene where she is in the pool and this old guy comes out there and she's skinny dipping and he's got like an apple in his mouth and it pops out. It's so much fun. It's a very famous like pictorial now that you can find in Playboy. But I put it on here because you can still actually go watch this almost as a short film and part of a documentary. And I'm a big Marilyn fan, so you can see the shirt design here, everything else. And a lot of people don't know about it. They don't know the story behind it. And I wanted to give you one of my favorites that just misses officially being the 60s. And I wanted to give you her last project really there that came from 1962. So it gives you a couple things to go check out. Both fun. You're not going to go wrong with anything with Marilyn. Some Like It Hot was very hot for its day. And then you get Something's Got to Give, which actually shows her little flashes of nudity and stuff in the movie when she's skinny dipping and gets out of the pool. Extremely hot for 1962 it would have been. So go check both of those out for that reason. And, I'm a big Marilyn fan. Those two together, a little bit of bending of the rules here, but I think we can allow it. They come in at number 2 on this list. And that just leaves number 1. And number 1 is another blonde bombshell star who we lost way too early. I'm talking about Jane Mansfield starring in Promises from 1963. This is a fun movie. You can find this on Tubi. I'm not sure about physical media. You can actually find it right here on YouTube for free as well. Now, it's the edited out version here. And I'm not sure about Tubi, but it definitely is on YouTube. This thing is extremely racy. Not only does it have an oft nude Jane Mansfield in this movie, top and bottom, but this is about two women on a cruise ship who turn up pregnant and they don't know who. They've got to try to go and find who the fathers are. Because did I mention they turn up pregnant after a wild sort of spree of a night? Let's just say that. So after a wild night, they both turn up pregnant. They don't know who the fathers are. That is a very racy storyline for 1962. Then you throw in the fact that Jane Mansfield apparently enjoyed being nude on set so much and the attention that she was getting that she kind of stayed nude a lot. They even talk about her talking to the crew and stuff without bothering to get dressed. And you can tell she's having a good time with it. They reuse several scenes over and over again in the movie. That's pretty funny in and of itself. This whole movie and that story was also grabbed onto by Playboy, so it became very, very famous. There is, like I said, a fair amount of naughtiness in this, but there's also one of the guys in this movie. This isn't specifically said, but you keep seeing a doc. First of all, it's on a cruise ship a lot, so I dig that because I just talk about the Love Boat. That is definitely what this is. But he keeps going to see the doctor who gives him this pill to help him along with the ladies. And it's like, this is 1962. Is this some little new, like old school version, first generation of the blue pill? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there watching it and kind of laughing about that. But this movie is a lot of fun. Lots of ways to check it out. Jane Mansfield, also absolutely gorgeous in her day. Just another blonde bombshell. Her and Marilyn they light up any screen that they are on. This movie is fun. It is fun. It's accessible. It's still like relevant today and extremely racy for 1963. So for that reason, and it's just so damn much fun to watch, it comes in at number 1 on this list. And that is my list of racy, raunchy, ridiculous, crazy sex comedies from the 1960s. I know you're probably sitting out there surprised. Maybe a lot of these you haven't heard of. Check them out. It's definitely a different vibe. Some of them, your mouth is going to drop open. You're not going to be able to believe that it came from the 60s, but it absolutely did. People were getting down then, and they're getting down now. It hasn't changed. It's just a lot of fun. People not taking things too seriously and just having a good time with it. That's what we're doing here. That's what they were doing in those movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you enjoyed this, we do lists here a lot. We do all kinds of stuff. We do physical media news, 4K movie reviews from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. If this is your first time here, I'm a working filmmaker. I have been for about half of my life now. And that's what I do. So I love talking about it all here. And that's what we do. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you want to help support the channel more, you can join at my Patreon or my YouTube links right down there in the comments. And a couple $1 a month, you get your name in lights on every single video, behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special members only videos, and so much more. And I really do appreciate it. Everything goes back into the channel. And I'd love to hear what kind of list you guys are looking for. I got more of these that I can do. I've done some from the 70s, 80s, 90s. Check those out. I got the 2000s coming. I can do more. I got all kinds of lists and all that other stuff on my channel too. And it's just a lot of fun. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. Bye now.